Hello everyone. Today I'm going to share how to make your children intelligent. Now, this is an interesting topic. A lot of people are interested in that, right? We all want our children to be intelligent. And today I'm going to share a very simple method how you can actually enable your child to develop brain and to also enhance their mental ability to experience life. So, the simplest way to enable them is to get them to experience wonder and awe. So you might have heard about this term yet, wonder and awe. And wonder and awe are very, very easy and simplest way and also fun way to enable the children to have the beautiful experience and also develop their brain capacity. Now, whenever the children experience wonder and awe, then different parts of their brain is lit, or you can say is developed. Now, when the brain's different parts are engaged in something and they all function together, that's how they actually build their brain, and this is how the brain is developed. And so mostly it's all about having more neural connections. So anything that you do with your children, everything is going to be very, very crucial for your children's development. So simple example will be talk to your child and get them to experience new things every day, like and I'll give very simple examples, like don't have to be very complicated. Just take them out somewhere and just let them observe. Now this observation is very, very important. When they observe something, and especially very, very carefully and in detail, that's when the magic takes place. I'll give another very simple example, and I'll use a very popular example. Einstein, the great scientist Einstein, somebody asked how to make our children very intelligent. So he said, if you want your children to be intelligent, read them fairy tales. And if you want to make them more intelligent, read more fairy tales. Now, this may sound like, not a very, practical advice or something, because we sometimes expect very complicated, solutions, but solutions are always simple. And I always believe in that, and most of my videos always emphasize about the simple solutions because they are also very doable and highly, highly effective. So what happens when you read the children fairy tales? So what happens is that they basically imagine. Imagination is a very big superpower. Also, they go in a unknown world, mentally. They create certain images and all these things, even though it sounds like very, very simple and ordinary stuff, but actually the different parts of the brain are being used, and that enable them to be intelligent and inquisitive. Now, what happens, if you have ever met anyone who is a scientist or a very very educated person, very highly educated, and someone very intelligent who has done PhD and all, you would have noticed one thing: they will always have childlike innocence and childlike curiosity. Now, what happens when you develop this inquisitiveness, through lots of reading and through this, exploration? That's when the brain develops its ability. You know, it is very important to learn something continuously and to make the child question. Let them question that why is this why this happened. When we were young, we used to ask very simple questions like why the sky is blue and why this is and why that. Now what we need to do is we have to seek the wonder and joy in everyday activities and in every single thing. Now let me give you a very simple example. Back over there you can see there is a plant. Yeah. And when we were learning in our university the photosynthesis, I was so intrigued that how can a photon just from the sun comes and fall on a leaf, and then numerous chemical reactions happen, and then the food, the starch, is being made from carbon dioxide and water. And I used to just wonder who is doing this and how is it happening, how does it know which chemical reaction to take place. So this is a very simple example, that even by looking at a leaf you can question that, oh, how does this happen. and then let the children explore how does it happen, and then let them question, let them do the research. This is when you develop intelligence. Intelligence is not like always, inherited, that hey, I have got very intelligent genes from my parents, or my grandparents and all, and I come from the families of all these highly educated people. Intelligence also can be built by your everyday actions and activities. Now, last point I will definitely share is that one big hindrance in today's world is distraction, and it is very, very against intelligence. Because what happens when you are distracted, at that time, your mind runs on autopilot. You are not using your mind. You are just, kind of, doing it unconsciously, and your conscious attention is the main thing. So when you pay attention to something, then that's why it is going to develop the brain. So first thing is that, try to have minimum screen exposure for your children. And if they are young, then I would say that if you are in a very good position, if your children are young and you have got an opportunity not to let them be on the screen for a long time, and if they are already on the screen, then very strict digital detox and boundaries need to be in place. Otherwise, you can very easily damage the children. Screens are highly damaging, and I'm in subsequent video I'm going to share how the screens can be so detrimental. But for today, very simple: just live a natural life, away from the screen. Take them out, let them explore the nature, because nature is full of wonder and full of joy and full of awe. So when they experience all these things, that's when they are going to develop the ability, and it is going to be an amazing experience, not only for the children but also for you. So that's all for today. Until next time, just be mindful and let the children experience wonder and awe. So until next time, happy parenting.